right, Shannon, what do you make of LeBron's reaction here?
Well, I think the biggest thing is LeBron is right. Trades do happen all the time, and you can't get caught up and say, okay, this guy went there and that guy went here. I have to worry about what's the focus at hand, and that's getting my team ready to play the Thunder. And although the Thunder is not a great team, but on any given night, you don't play your best. Because like you tell me sometimes, who cares about a Tuesday night? Who cares about a Wednesday night? But clearly the Lakers were focused, and from the opening tip, they approached it as such. But I think also Bron understands, being a part of a big three, how hard it is for those pieces to come together in such a short period of time. And if you look at what happened with him, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, Skip, if I'm not mistaken, I think at one point in time they were 9-8 in the first 17 games because D. Wade was like, okay, am I going to take it or you going to take it? Or you going to take it or am I going to take it? But we still got to get CB his touches too now because we can't leave him, unnoticed. And so it's a lot harder than people think, especially when you get superstars. D. Wade had won Finals MVP. Chris Bosh was a perennial all-star. LeBron James was who he was, two-time MVP, had gone to the finals. And so, you don't want to step on each other's toes. So it's a lot more, and LeBron understands, it's a lot more difficult than people think. This isn't, one of those video games, Skip, where you just play, well, I'm gonna play with this team and everything's gonna be okay. It doesn't work like that in actuality. It takes time to blend a team together. And so, and plus LeBron's like, I can't worry about what they're doing. They're going to do what they're going to do. I just need to make sure that I'm prepared and my team get better and better every time we step on the court. Because, Skip, with the protocols to where they are now, there's not going to be a whole lot of shoot-arounds. There's not going to be a whole lot of anything. So basically, you're just going to be showing up at the arena and just playing. So I don't really know how much film study. Because of, only 10 people in a room at one time now. So the NBA has gotten very strict. Because of these outbreaks, they postponed a few games. And so it's going to be very interesting to see moving forward. But LeBron should not give it like, oh, they traded, oh, good deal. And just keep it moving like he did.
Your demeanor and delivery matched LeBron's in the clip we just saw.
Yeah.
Where you're just dismissing this as it's just another trade. They come, they go. It happens
it's a
all the
blockbuster
time.
trade, but what are you about to? Man, I can't believe that. Man, the NBA shouldn't have let James Harden go to. So is that what you wanted the reaction? You're upset because you didn't get the reaction from LeBron that you thought you was gonna get.
I'm not surprised by this at all because he is the shrewdest of operators. Trust me, he had thought long and hard about how to respond after the game to the first media question about the blockbuster trade. And I'm pretty sure he decided, I'm not going to continue to fuel the hysteria that is taking the focus and the national spotlight off the Lakers and LeBron James, because that's what just happened. And you cannot tell me that LeBron didn't spend most of his afternoon, if not all of his afternoon, leading up to warming up before the game on the phone with Maverick or Rich saying, what you think? What you think? What you think? Going back and forth about, what do you think?
What are the things, Skip? I mean, they put together two guys that are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers in James Harden and KD. Kyrie's working his way into that discussion.
You don't think LeBron had conversations about, do you think it'll work? What are the problems? Do you think it's going to be an issue or not?
I just ask you the question. What general manager, what NBA player didn't have that?
Thank you. They all did.
Okay.
It was the talk of the world, the sports world yesterday. It transcended NBA. It was the NFL talk of the world. Every NFL player, even those getting ready for the playoffs, you don't think they were buzzing about this blockbuster?
Yeah, Skip,
Will it work?
It's just like everybody was buzzing when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. The NFL world was buzzing. The NBA world was buzzing. It happens when big megastars move teams. This is not you. I mean, you making it seem like this is unique. Was the world not buzzing when LeBron went to the Lakers? Was the world not buzzing?
No.
The world paused when LeBron James made the decision. So you make it seem like James Harden doing this is the first time we've got news like this.
No.
Okay.
You're just telling me that LeBron just shrugged it off, and I promise you he did not shrug it off.
How would you have him to respond?
I don't care how he responds. I was just curious to see how he would. And I thought this was a possibility. I thought he might be a little more generous to them because he likes them and he wants everybody to like him. He wants to be the ambassador for the NBA. I thought he might say, It could be a great deal for, AD took the right stance. He said, on paper, it looks great. Well, that's fair. Okay, on paper, it does. Now he said, you got to go between the lines and see if it starts to work between the lines.
Right.
Okay, that's a fair way to say it. LeBron could have said, oh, it's great for the league. It's going to create a lot of attention.
And guess what? Had LeBron said that, you would have said Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant would have never said that. They would have never been so complimentary. So LeBron James...
Well, Michael never thought of himself as the ambassador for basketball. He hated everybody.
Skip, here's the thing.
Doesn't LeBron want to be best friends with everybody he plays?
Skip, whatever LeBron thinks, LeBron James is the face of the NBA, just like Michael Jordan was the face of the NBA. But my thing is for you. If LeBron James had been complimentary of this, you would have said, this is why LeBron can never be the GOAT, because Michael Jordan would have never been complimentary. Kobe Bryant would have never been complimentary. Okay, he said, hey, I didn't get caught up into that. I had to get ready to play a game. And now you say, man, he was there. Come on.
He wants to be the face of the league, and all of a sudden, he's not the spotlight of the league.
Is he not the face still?
The focus of this league, the new epicenter of the NBA world, is now in Brooklyn. Not in Manhattan, in Brooklyn. I never thought I would say these words because I grew up with the New Jersey Nets, who were just sort of out of sight and out of mind, and they moved to Brooklyn, and then they ultimately pulled this off.
Well, it was good when they had a doctor.
Okay. Well, when they were in the ABA. Yeah. This is now the total focus of this league going forward is going to be on, will this work or will this not work?
Right.
And they're going to come out here in the middle of February and play a game at Staples, and it will feel like a preview of the NBA Finals.
Well, if they had fans, Skip, can you imagine? If they had fans and the amount of media, it would almost feel like a finals game.
It would.
With the amount of media credentials and the buzz around it, because everybody would have been on location.
Okay. So, in the biggest picture, LeBron James has the highest IQ in basketball, I think in basketball history. He is already calculating what he's up against. And obviously, injuries can play a part. I'm going to knock on wood. Obviously, KD has injury history. Kyrie has injury history. James doesn't have much. But it could factor into this. But if they stay healthy, LeBron has to know he's going to be up against a much bigger challenge if, in fact, he can get through the West to the NBA Finals. Because I'm going to remind everybody, in the bubble last year, he wound up in the finals against an injury-riddled fifth seed that ultimately, starting with game one, when they obviously lost Bam and Dragic, that had to play high minutes a night. Three kids, Duncan Robinson and Hero and Kendrick Nunn, those three played high minutes like 25 minutes a night.
Right.
That's who you got to face in the NBA Finals. Well, what if it's KD, Kyrie, and James Harden?
Well, Skip.
Won't that be a little different?
Well, here's the thing. Sure, it'll be different, but it's not like somebody just put the Heat there. The Heat had to win 4 rounds.
Okay, they
had
did.
to win 4 games each round.
But weird things kept happening in the bubble, and I think they were a weird thing. They just caught fire, and it felt almost like March Madness.
What was the weird thing that happened to the Clippers and why they weren't there?
Okay, they did not want to be in the bubble. That's as simple as that. We talked about this at length. The Lakers have all agreed they just didn't want to be in the bubble, and they were associating with them and fraternizing with them, and they knew they didn't want to be there.
If you don't mind me asking, if the East is so weak, why are you praising it now? You remember when LeBron was over there and you said the East is terrible? And the only reason he's
used to be.
Whoa, time, Skip.
Okay.
What? The East is terrible. If it was a cakewalk then, why is it so tough now?
Well, because KD went there and Kyrie went there, and now James Harden went there.
Do you notice? Two of those guys that you mentioned were in the West. My guy came West.
Yeah.
They went East.
Okay. You think they're running?
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just telling you what my guy did. Because you said my guy was ducking and dodging.
He was chasing Michael B. Jordan to Hollywood. That's what he was doing. And if he could get AD here, he'd have a shot. And in the bubble, he got a shot. And I believe it was the luckiest path to a finals you will ever find, ever, because they even dodged the Clippers.
No, they didn't dodge
the Clippers.
Skip, they didn't dodge the Clippers. The Clippers had the same opportunities. that the Lakers had. They didn't play more games. They played less games because they got beat. They gagged, Skip.
It was the bubble. Half of them didn't even show up on time.
Let me ask you a question.
How long did the Clippers have to quarantine because guys were leaving the bubble?
Let me ask you a question. Had LeBron James and AD blew a 3-1 lead, and they had double-digit leads in all the time, would you have chalked it up to the bubble, or would you have said they choked?
Well, they didn't. So
No, don't do that. No, don't be like that.
I'd have to see how it unfolded.
Skip,
The Clippers dominated every game. They were up by 12, then 19, then 15 in 3 straight closeout games.
Okay.
They showed you. Las Vegas kept favoring them by higher numbers than your team was favored when you got to face them in the conference
So that's what I'm saying. So if the situation were exactly the same, the Lakers were up by 16, 19, and 12, blowing a 3-1 lead, would you have said it was because of the bubble, or would you have said it was because they choked? A simple answer, Skip.
Okay, would the Lakers have been coming in and out of the bubble and not want to be there?
Hold on. First of all, once they got there, nobody left again. Once they got there, nobody left.
For the Clippers?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? They were in and out like crazy. Montrez left. Lou Williams left. You nicknamed him Lemon Pepper Lou.
Yeah,
they had to quarantine. They didn't play together.
Okay, what about Avery Bradley not coming? What about Avery Bradley?
Okay.
You said we weren't going to be able to do anything in the bubble because we lost Avery Bradley.
Well, I didn't say that.
Avery Bradley hit those 7 threes in March. That's what you said. You said that.
I don't think it was 7, but it was 5.
Yeah.
That was the Avery Bradley Memorial game, and that was the first game you won against the Clippers, who had cleaned you out twice.
And guess what?
Opening night and Christmas Day.
And we never played, and Avery Bradley didn't come. But in the first game in the bubble between the Clippers and the Lakers, who won that game?
You won that game.
And what did we do?
The Clippers didn't want to be there.
So now they didn't want to be there.
Right?
Nobody wanted to be there, Skip. First of all, everybody keeps saying how mentally tough. And they said, we don't want to go back to the bubble, to not have family, to not have friends. Nobody wants to do. Everybody except Skip Bayless said that was the most mentally challenging thing that they'd had to do in basketball. But now Skip said, because LeBron won it, it wasn't that difficult. But had somebody else won it?
I give him high credit. He kept them together in the bubble. But he smelled blood.
But hold on, Skip.
Did LeBron ever say, I don't feel like I should be here, my heart's not in it because I need to be with Black Lives Matter or whatever? Did he say that?
Name the two teams that when Kenosha happened that says, okay, let's bounce. Okay. Name the 2 teams.
And then what happened? That was then 2 hours later, what happened in LeBron's room?
LeBron and Chris Paul got on a call with former President Obama, and they had a conversation. He said, you could do more, you do better down there, keeping the focus on it. And when they came back, they said, okay, we're going to do this. But Skip, don't do this. Now, you keep telling me that I'm confused now. Damn. And I think, hell, I got a degree and everything. Went to school. I was pretty good in school. I wasn't great. I was pretty good, though.
I thought you told me you were no good in school.
I was okay, Skip. You keep telling me LeBron James is the most mentally fragile superstar in the history of sports, yet he just endured the most mentally challenging season in sports. And now, because
we're talking about the last seconds of big playoff games. That's when he is the mentally weakest. As we started to see in the 2011 finals. Do you remember those?
Yeah. You can go back to that 2011 finals, but this is what we know. And nobody has more playoff buzzer beaters. Nobody has more game shots with 10 seconds on the clock.
He's played like 300 more games than anybody else
And
has.
shouldn't he have failed? I mean, come on now.
He has failed far more than anybody has.
He should. Michael Jordan had a commercial.
Nobody has missed more late-game free throws than LeBron James.
So now it's going back to free throw.
He is a disaster at the late-game free throw line. Mental problems.
Has anybody hit more late-game shots? Yes or no?
He's hit, what, 7? In what's he played? 19 years now?
He played 18.
Well, he's going on.
Okay.
Yep.
How many Michael hit?
Well, he's already, what's he played? 350 more games than Michael?
I don't know. I don't count the games. LeBron don't count games. He make the games count.
Did LeBron ever walk off at Utah with a Game 6 buzzer beater to just close the deal?
He wasn't in the West at that point in time. But he did walk off against Orlando. He did walk off against Indiana. He did walk off against Toronto. He did walk off and walk it off.
Yeah, he walked right out of that Orlando series in games 4, 5, and 6, as usual. And again, it was cakewalk time against those Pacers and those Raptors featuring DeMar DeRozan.
Oh,
Stop it.
So in other words, KD might get an opportunity to play the Pacers this year, right? Is it going to be a cakewalk? He might get an opportunity to play some of these other Toronto. Is it going to be a cakewalk?
Yep.
And the notion that did you keep saying that series that people at home, that series that he's telling you about, Orlando, LeBron James averaged 38, 8, and 8. And boy, he was terrible.
Came apart.
He came apart.
Go look at 4, 5, and 6 and see what happened.
Go look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers in 4, 5, and 6. 38, 8, and 8. 38, 8, and 8. And he was terrible. Man, I sure wish. How many guys you think would like a stat line like that in a playoff game?
Then go look at against Boston the next year, which was his last year, the first time around in Cleveland, and see what happened in games 4, 5, and 6.
And then go to Boston the following year, and then the year after that, and see what happened.
Well, he joined forces with Wade and Bosh.
So what do we? So what are we saying about KD? What are we saying about James Harden? So now they joined forces.
They did.
You don't mention anything, but LeBron James.
No, they got this. They just said this is the way of the NBA world. We got this.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.